to go through me. The waters are rising, and so are we. If you want to build a pipeline, you have to go through me. The waters are rising, and so are we. If you want to build a pipeline, you have to go through me. The waters are rising, and so are we. Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop. When the air we breathe is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the water we drink is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When Indigenous rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Stand up, fight back.
Stand up, fight back.
Tar sands kill, pipeline spill.
Tar sands kill.
Pipeline
spill. Tar sands kill. Pipeline spill. Tar sands kill. Pipeline spill.
Tar sands kill!
Pipelines kill. Stop line 3. We must. We will. 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 Stop line 3.
We must. We will.
We must. We will. Stop the Ambridge Corporation. We stand with Indigenous nations.
Stop the Ambridge Corporation. We stand with Indigenous nations.
Stop the Ambridge Corporation. We stand with Indigenous nations. Stop the Ambridge Corporation. We stand with Indigenous nations. Stop the Ambridge Corporation. We
Stand with Indigenous nations.
Stop the Ambridge Corporation.
We stand with Indigenous nations.
Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop.
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop.
Look at that building. There's accountability, integrity. Whoa, government accountability.
No accountability.
Good morning! We are here at the office of the Army Corps of Engineers. President Biden has asked the Army Corps to review all the past permits of the past 4 years The effects of climate change was ignored. The permit must be revoked.
That's right.
Revoke! 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 Revoke!
The Line 3 permit is illegal. It needs to be revoked.
That's right. Yep. Revoke the permit. Revoke
The permit!
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 Revoke!
The permit!
Revoke!
The permit!
Revoke!
The permit!
Revoke!
The permit!
Good morning. Is this working? Yes. Good morning. Thank you all for joining us at this early hour. It's beautiful to see you all today. I wrote my words down because I don't trust myself to have to speak. You got clearly before 9 a.m. All right. As we gather and get ready to get started or continue, I wanted to acknowledge and pay respect to the Piscataway peoples, whose land we are currently standing on. This land in particular was stolen from them and physically and spiritually marred with the history of the settler colonial nation. It was marred by the multitude of crimes that occurred under the umbrella term of slavery, the kidnapping, murder, and forced labor, torture, and more of African peoples who were brought here. This land was again marred in the creation of this state, as it is on Piscataway land that the headquarters of this rogue nation was formed, from which the unnatural and inhumane systems of capitalism and imperialism were established, codified, and strengthened. And this beautiful Piscataway land that many of us might have gotten to know in the past few years continues to be marred to this day, physically and spiritually, and it is used to carry out crimes against humanity in nations abroad and on this continent, against Black people daily in the city, as it is used to violate the treaty rights and the sovereignty of Indigenous brethren. Today we gather here to stand in solidarity with the land, with the waters, and the human rights and dignity of the Anishinaabe peoples of Minnesota. My name is Khadija Metter. I've been living in this area for about 10 years, but I was born and raised in Syracuse, New York, on occupied and stolen Haudenosaunee land. I'm a revolutionary socialist and Muslim, but more importantly, I'm grateful to be standing here with you all in solidarity so we can learn from one another, but more importantly, agitate and fight for all Indigenous peoples and all land and water protectors, so that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and this entire structure of this nation can feel our fury and the fury of the peoples on the front line and call for justice. So just to tell you a little bit more about this, so what is Line 3? It is the proposed pipeline expansion that would bring millions of barrels of tar sands every day from Canada to Superior in Wisconsin. It was proposed by Enbridge, a Canadian company, who is actually responsible for the largest inland oil spill in the U.S. They are now seeking to build this new pipeline corridor through untouched wetlands and the treaty territory of the Anishinaabe peoples through the Mississippi River headwaters to the shore of Lake Superior. And as maybe some of us know, but a lot of people might not know, but all pipelines spill. All pipelines. So the construction of Line 3 is yet another violation of the land, of the water, of the human rights and safety of the people, all the people in that area. And we know that Line 3, like I said, would violate the treaty rights of the Anishinaabe Nation and peoples and then in particular of their wild rice, the access to their wild rice, which is both critical sustenance as well as important to their culture and for health and livelihood of the people, indigenous or not. All people have the right to safety, to clean air, to clean water, to sustenance, and the opportunity to thrive. So let me add here that it is only due to the land and water protectors in Minnesota. The Line 3 pipeline was not completed in 2017 as it was supposed to be because of the continued resistance of the people on the ground and the amplification of their struggle all over. And we want to thank them, and we want to continue that struggle, and that's what we're here to do today. We're here to bring that struggle here to the doorsteps of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, who have the power to stop the construction of this pipeline. We're here to remind them that the people are watching. The people are watching! Stop Line 3! We're here to remind them and to bring the strength and resistance of the struggle here on Piscataway land, and to remind the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, just another branch of this colonial structure, that they have the ability and the obligation to do the right thing and stop this planned pipeline. So as we continue here, I just want to remind us all, if you're a settler on this land like I am, it is our obligation to stand in all Indigenous struggles in solidarity. So I thank you all for joining us today. Let's continue to create a ruckus and to send our strength to the peoples on the front line so that they can hear us and feel us, and that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, more importantly, hears them. Hey all, I'm Helen with Shutdown DC, and I am going to talk a bit more about the exact demands for the Biden administration and the Army Corps of Engineers. But before I get into that, I just want to note the giant pipeline spill that Khadija mentioned. That was 30 years ago this week, 1991, the largest inland oil spill in North America. And that was Enbridge, the same corporation that is now, and that was Line 3. The same corporation, the same pipeline, they are now trying to expand. Boo! Indeed. As Khadija said, water protectors have been tireless in protesting, and we actually have friends from here in DC who went up to be with them in solidarity a few weeks ago. Last week, they were all commemorating this spill that happened 30 years ago, this giant spill that caused untold harm to their communities and their environment. And guess how cops reacted to a peaceful protest? They kettled them, they cited over 70 people, and they put one in jail. Clearly the state is not on the side of clean water, clean lands, and peaceful protesters. They are on the side of Enbridge, but we need to change that balance, and we can do that by raising awareness, by keep talking about what's happening on the ground in Line 3. Our folks in DC are reporting back to us. We're doing this action right now in solidarity with them. So I want to thank you so much for being here. So a few days ago, 374 social justice organizations, including Indigenous organizations, climate organizations, faith organizations, and so many more, wrote a letter to President Biden to urge him to stop the Line 3 pipeline, to protect Indigenous rights, and to protect the climate. And I'm going to read some excerpts about what exactly they're asking for. We urge you to direct the Army Corps of Engineers to immediately reevaluate and suspend or revoke the Line 3 project's Clean Water Act Section 404 permit. The Army Corps failed to consider significant information on Line 3's impacts in reaching its original determination, including the risk of oil spills, which we know is a huge risk, climate change impacts, and impacts on Indigenous peoples. Additionally, we urge you to revoke or amend Line 3's presidential permit, as you did for Keystone XL, to make it clear that the permit does not authorize this massive expansion. Your rejection of the Keystone XL's pipeline's presidential permit was a clear signal that the Biden administration represents a break from the fossil fuel giveaways of the Trump administration. So, he did one good thing, but that's not enough. He needs to stop Line 3, so let's chant for a bit. Biden, stop Line 3.
Biden, stop Line 3! 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 Biden, stop Line 3!
Thank you. So to close, I'm going to read a statement from Winona LaDuke. She's an Indigenous woman, the Executive Director of Honor the Earth, and she lives in this community, the White Earth Reservation in northern Minnesota, that would be affected, has been affected for the last decades by the Line 3 pipeline. Line 3's most serious immediate impacts will be on Indigenous peoples and their lands and waters along the line. But the increasing climate threats to Minnesota and the planet will be exponentially exacerbated by this pipeline. In short, Line 3 is a climate time bomb. Tar sands is the dirtiest and most expensive oil on the planet to extract, and this Line 3 would add the equivalent emissions of 50 coal-fired power plants. It's up to President Biden to continue with the country's renewable energy agenda and reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. Stopping Line 3 is essential.
Biden, stop Line 3! 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 Biden, stop Line 3!
If anyone else has a word they want to share with the Army Corps of Engineers, something you feel in your heart, something you want to send a message to, you want to raise the voices in Minnesota, please feel free to come up. The mic is yours. We're here for each other. And your voices matter, and what's in your heart matters.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Schulman, and I'm active with a group called Beyond Extreme Energy that's in solidarity with all the other groups represented here and all those around the nation. I saw that in the Army Corps of Engineers report on the Dakota Access Pipeline that there is a 100% chance of an oil spill. 100% chance within 75 years. Now that's a pretty broad statement, but what they're admitting is these pipelines are like the Titanic. You know, they're bound to fail, and they're not demanding the kind of controls that would make them usable, even if there were a valid purpose, which there is not. So I used to live in Minneapolis, and my mother is buried in Superior, Wisconsin. I did not know that Line 3 terminates in Superior. So I'm horrified at the notion that my mother might be witness to more of this. She would be very saddened to know of this activity. Anybody else?
Thank you. Thank you.
Chants International. And we're so thankful to everybody who came out here today. I know we represent not just millions, not just tens of millions, not just hundreds of millions, but are really the majority of people on this planet. I don't know much about pipeline. I'm not sure I've ever seen a pipeline, but I think that this pipeline and all pipelines need to be rejected just on climate change and chaos alone. I think we're all aware, the whole world is aware of the climate changing around us and the disasters that are approaching us at tremendous speed. I'm really grateful to see so many people coming out here on bicycles. I think that just makes a political statement in itself. We need to reject this pipeline and all pipelines on the grounds that we're destroying the planet in incredible speed and making a horrific future for my children, your children, and all of our children. So thanks again for coming out today. We're going to be ramping up the pressure on this pipeline, every other pipeline, on our fossil fuel economy. We can't continue the way we're going. And if people thought COVID was rough, you know, we've got an even heavier lift here around getting rid of the fossil fuel addiction that we're all addicted to. But the Army Corps of Engineers here needs to do the right thing. It needs to stop this pipeline. And we are here, I know every one of us are here because we're here to save the planet, and we're going to be here again. So thanks again for coming out.
Thanks, Michael.
Army Corps, do the right thing! 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 Army Corps, do the right thing!
Thank you, everyone, for coming. And Mason numbers. Let's try and bring 2 more friends. And we want to make sure the Army Corps of Engineers know that we will be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back.
We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. Hey everyone, thanks for coming. So just so you know, there is a contingent of Indigenous youth that is going to come down to DC on April 1st. So look out for information about that. We're going to try to do an even bigger action. I don't think Shutdown is taking the lead on it, but other DC climate justice groups are doing something. So that's April 1st. And I talked to Michael about earlier, there is a vigil for Breonna Taylor tomorrow. Climb Collective and others are organizing it. It's a bike ride that starts at the National Museum of African American History and Culture at 4. They're supposed to get to Malcolm X Park by 5 and do the vigil there. So assume they'll be running a little late, but if anyone wants to come, that's great. Any other announcements?
Is that today?
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's the same time, unfortunately, but our comrades at Anakbayan who helped with the beautiful signs, I'm Leah Fox, you can see. They have also a thing in Florida at the Philippines Embassy. There's been ongoing, similar to this country, kind of war and terror, claiming like drugs and like criminalizing the poor and people resisting. And there's particularly what they're calling a Bloody Sunday on the 7th, when 9 protesters were killed on the same day. So we'll try to be in both places at the same time. But just want to look that up.
Anyone else?
Thanks to our awesome speakers today and everyone who organized.
Maybe show me.
I think there are stickers and flyers or placards.
I was going to do like one or two movies.
Okay.
These are for the main funders. Line 3 is a quick postcard. So
Not in a hurry, you can stick them in first line. Yeah. I'm actually flying to Kentucky.
Woo!
Really?
Thank you so much for
Brown
coming.
Taylor's
We'll let you
anniversary, which is
start
tomorrow.
your days now.
Oh, that's why there's a vigil.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why they're doing the vigil tomorrow here, but she died really well.
Thank you again for the sign.
The one who was just talking in the red jacket was actually the one who was going to try to
Yeah, my cousin is.
You got a local rescue or Oh, okay. It's like, where can I get a dog?
yeah, we found the whole litter. It's pretty crazy.
You're so sweet.
Would you mind doing a quick interview whenever you're done petting?
The dog or me?
No, you. I mean,
I-
whenever you're done petting the dog.
the
Not
dog.
the dog. I don't know that the dog's going to have a lot to say about it.
I don't want to give my last name.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. So, I mean, however you'd like to introduce yourself, feel free to. But I wanted to ask about, it seems like the transition to a Biden administration has meant some improvement from your perspective. You said that in your speech. I was hoping you could kind of elaborate on that.
Where am I supposed to look?
You can look at me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he blocked the KXL pipeline, as I understand, but there's a lot more that needs to be done, and it's urgent. Like, we're out of time to fight climate change. We're simply out of time. So he needs to go big, he needs to go bold. We need a Green New Deal, and as a first step, revoking the permit from the Line 3 pipeline is a must.
Are you hopeful, I guess, about the next 4 years in terms of environmental progress?
I don't want to speak for Shutdown DC on that because I have my own opinions.
Okay, fair enough. I understand. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I guess I didn't ask too much there, but
Yeah, so a few years ago, Standing Rock was the place to be, and now it's Line 3 in Minnesota. This is an issue that's probably going to get resolved one way or another in the next 3 weeks, so we need all attention to it right now. That's why our friends from DC went up there and are
on the ground, they're in solidarity. Some of them have been cited, some people have been arrested. But it's really going to ramp up this week, next week, the next few weeks. So if you look at the hashtag StopLine3 on social media, you can find out a lot more. Definitely follow the Indigenous groups that are taking the lead on the ground down there, because we are taking leadership from them.
Yep, I definitely plan to be out there on April 1st.
Okay, great.
So,
I was going to ask you about that.
yeah, I mean, actually, do you want to describe what's going on April 1st?
Oh, here on April 1st?
Yeah.
So I don't think there are that many details yet, but we know that Indigenous leaders, both from Minnesota, from the Line 3 area, and from the Dakota Access Pipeline area that's affected, will be here in DC, kind of making their case to, I think, the Biden administration directly. I don't know exactly what activities are being planned, but I know it's going to be bigger than this because more groups are going to get involved. So if you, I'm trying to think, if you're on our press list, like I had a link to the
Shut down,
tweet,
right?
yeah, from the Indigenous Youth Leaders Council, so they will probably post more plans for that.
Cool. All right, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, I have a couple of questions for you before we separate out.
Yeah. What's your name?
Alejandro Alvarez.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll call you after.
All right, awesome. So I'm with WTOP, if you wouldn't mind, just so I can get a good soundbite for air.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap the live stream there, actually. But just in short, I think what I was trying to get at the end that I think is kind of interesting is that, I've covered environmental protests for the last 3 administrations, Obama, Trump, and now Biden. And, this is basically the first environmental protest I've actually gotten to attend since the Biden administration got into power. During Trump, there was, fairly gigantic numbers for events like this. I think there are probably some compounding factors as to why there would be fewer people here today. But, I think it is worth noting that environmental protest, numbers being whatever they may be, that environmental protest continues, and that it seems that, at least the initial impression is that President Biden has, it seems like, a lukewarm approach on environmental stuff, that he was against KXL, but it sounds like he is asking for a review on Line 3, which activists view as an absolute no-no, and Biden seems to, at the moment, be kind of in an unsure position on. So, with all that being said, I'm actually going to be heading to Louisville, Kentucky tonight, and we'll have all-day coverage tomorrow of the protests outside. There's going to be social justice protests over the anniversary death of Breonna Taylor in Louisville, so that's where I'm going to be tomorrow. So thanks everybody for watching. I will also have footage from freelancer Marini Ray, who was in Portland last night, and that should be up this afternoon on News to Share.